Yeah.
For
Thank you. Thanks,
So, I mean, this is just basic Q&A. This is all about you. So whatever
Okay.
you want to, if you want people to ask questions, if you want to jibber jabber, whatever, this is all you.
Well, I'll do a little bit of both. I mean, what questions do you guys want me to talk about? What shows I've done, or do you guys want to just jump into it and ask questions and we can go from there? And I'll give you far more information that you wanted to know.
We've got a mic up here, so if you guys want to form a line to ask questions, please do so.
I didn't get to ask this, but when is Sword Art Online season 3?
I have no idea.
You haven't been working on it?
No, I haven't. They tell us everything last. Normally, the way I figure out something is coming out or that I'm working on something is at a convention or Twitter. And someone will say like, hey, by the way, I just bought this game. Is this you? And I'm like, yes, I guess I can talk about it.
Because I heard on this website that shows like when it's coming out.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Japanese version is coming out this summer.
Oh, cool.
And I'm pretty sure the English version is coming out this summer as well.
Sweet. I know that there's a movie, and hopefully we get to work on that. I don't know. I know I'm doing a big panel at Anime Expo. I hope I was allowed to say that.
Well, there goes your NDA.
Yeah, in LA. And I'm hoping they'll announce some stuff there. They don't tell us anything. We had to keep it a secret when we were working on Sailor Moon. We didn't even know who the cast was.
It's like you're there, it's like, oh, can you tell me about this?
Mm-hmm.
Secret information.
Yeah.
That's fun.
We ask people. They don't trust us actors with any secrets. Because, like, this happens. I get excited and I share things.
Put you down on the table.
Exactly. That's my life.
Okay, I've been wondering this for a very long time.
Yes.
Who would win in a fight, Lucy or Asuna?
That's so You don't understand. I have, like, invisible versions of these characters living in my brain, and if I pick a favorite, or I pit them against each other, there's just a war going on in my head. And I already have stuff going on there. I don't really think that any of them would fight each other. I think if they started to fight each other, they would come to some common ground and be like, you know what, we're pretty strong as is. We can just take everybody else down if we team up together. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, we have the same voice. If we kill each other, we can't talk anymore. Which would not work.
And then, what is your favorite anime that you know?
So hard. Usually, my favorite anime is whatever I'm voicing that day, or my favorite game, because I'm just so excited to be able to work on it, and I get wrapped up in the story and that universe. Once I finish that day, I'm like, man, Sailor Moon's the best. I love being inspired by this character. She gets to say so many cool things. And the next day I'll work on Lucy and I'll say like, Lucy's my favorite. So my family will always say like, you just can't pick a favorite. I'm like, I know, because it's whatever I'm working on that day. I'm just so wrapped up and excited to be able to play these characters that's my favorite. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks.
Awesome.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, what is it like when you're recording something and then you read the line and you realize that this is a very embarrassing line? Do you kind of laugh it off for a minute and then record it?
Yes. That happens sometimes, especially with Iris Heart in the Neptunia series. She's very strong and very assertive and gets to say some things that I would never say. And so sometimes having to say those things makes me a little uncomfortable. And I already, when you're recording, you're in a booth that most of the time has a window and there are people staring at you, so you already feel like a panda at the zoo. And then when you're saying all these funny things, it's like, oh, this legitimately is like, dance monkey, dance behind the glass, and we're all gonna laugh and you can't hear us, and it'll be funny. But yeah, I think that's how I learned very quickly to not take my job or anything that I'm doing too seriously. I mean, I love what I do and I want to do the best job that I can. But we are doing cartoons and they all say funny things, and some of these characters say, you know, things that I wouldn't normally say, and you gotta laugh it off. And we're all in it together, none of the directors, that was great. I was bullied in school, so I was like, oh, they're gonna make fun of me. No, they don't. They're like, this is funny, it's weird, it's wacky, and we're all on the same team, and they're so supportive, so we do have a good laugh. Sometimes the other actors will leave bombs for us. Well, they'll make jokes or mess with us on purpose. So we're expecting one line, they say something different, and then our job is to try to push through and get the line right. That never happens for me.
Yeah.
They're always so funny.
Like I remember when watching Sword Art Online, I would hear you say something, I'd be like, I don't know if I could record that. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, there was a lot, especially in season 2. Asuna had a line where she just said stare, where it was like really close on her eyes. And she just said stare. And that was something that we recorded as a joke. And we did an actually like weird, intense staring reaction, and that was what was supposed to be in there. So when I'm watching it on Toonami, doing a live tweet, just the stare came out. I was like, they kept it? That's so weird. So I'm like texting the director, I'm like, you kept that? He was like, oh, we all thought it was hilarious. And she was like, we called the Japanese producer, and the Japanese producer was like, that's hilarious. It's going on the air. So that was a crazy fun time where one of our jokes actually made the final version. So.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. All right, two-part question.
Okay.
What's a good bomb that you've heard? Not like the best, but like a bomb that you've heard.
Oh, man. Well, Sword Art Online, Bryce likes to do that a lot.
Yes.
And they release them. I think you can find them on YouTube. It's like Sword Art Online bloopers. So he does that a lot. I think my favorite, though, that Bryce did was not something that was in the actual show. It was, we did a radio play that came with the DVD where it's just us doing like a talk show, and we had guests on there, and Bryce and I were talking. He said, you know, I'm so hungry, like I haven't had breakfast today. I was like, well, just go grab some cereal from the kitchen. And he was like, what am I gonna do, eat it on the show? And I was like, yeah. What will they do? So now the joke is that every time Bryce does that, he's gonna be eating. So because that happened, every time I've done a show with Bryce since then, if it's in a scene with me, the last like 6 times he's had cereal and he's been eating in the take, and so that's the take they leave for me. So it's a little inside joke that Bryce always has cereal, and I know his wife really well. She's like, he doesn't even like cereal that much. So it's just for me that he leaves those. Todd likes to leave a lot of like long-winded philosophical questions in Fairy Tale. Such as, what is my life becoming? And he just like keeps going through my line. So I'll usually just respond back and say like, Todd, I can't, I'm trying to work right now. I can't be your psychiatrist while I'm working. And so that's always my response back to him when he leaves me those crazy bombs.
Cool. The other question, what's like a role that you have that no one, like it's kind of your role, somebody brings it up, you're like, oh cool, I don't get to talk about this all the time.
That's a really good question. It's interesting because different areas of the country or different areas of the world that I go to, there's different shows that are favorites. Road from D. Gray Man is sometimes not very popular, but this weekend a lot of people have been talking about Road. Ghost Hunt, a couple of years ago when it came out, a lot of people didn't know about that, and now it's like having this crazy resurgence, which I totally dig because it was one of my favorite shows to work on. Himawari and Holic, a lot of people forget about that one. I don't know. I think it's always fun when people remember like live action, because I do film acting and stuff as well. And so people will bring up Not Cool, or they'll bring up Beyond the Farthest Star, which is a film I shot a long time ago, or web series Throwing Stones. And that's always fun because I'm like, I don't expect that. So that was pretty fun.
You're awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome. Hello. Welcome to my life.
People all the way. So one of my questions is, what has been one of your favorite scenes or episodes that you've done in Black Butler?
Ooh, in Black Butler. Man, that show was just really fun to work on because the director, Ian Sinclair, I've worked with him on a couple of projects on camera. Yeah, he is so cool. But because he's an awesome dude. But when we were working on that show, Normally the directors will say, like, we're moving so quick, just keep it as true to the original intent. Don't try to joke around or make it funnier or make it crazy. But with him, we would always do a safe take, and then we would do one where I got to be a little bit more creative. And then I stopped asking for the more creative take. I would just do it first, because then I knew he would always say, well, let's just do it again and let's do the safe take. So with that, anytime Lizzie was getting ready for a party, I would always imagine her to be very high strung because everything had to be perfect for CL. So there was like a strained level of like intensity, but she was always very sweet. It was like she was gonna hug someone so much that they might die because she just loved them so deeply. And there's one where she was playing chess, where I kind of like made a song as she's like learning how to play chess. And then I can't remember which of the OVAs it was. I think it was CL in Wonderland. And she just had the flaps, she had her mouth open for a really long time, and we didn't know how to fill it. And I was just supposed to say yay or something like that. So Ian was like, I don't know how we're gonna do this and make it work. So I just did an operatic note to fill the whole space. And again, that got to stay. So those are really fun. Those are 3 moments that I definitely remember. The one that creeped me out was the doll episode. And every time they played that song for me, I was like, oh, I feel so uncomfortable at so many levels right now. But it was really cool. Thank you. Hello. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So how did she, like, are you saying, like, how did she live when all was said and done? Or how did she, like, say, I'm going to do this even though I could die? Right. I think that was just, like, one of those perfect timing situations where the world was, they beat the game, and even though she had sacrificed herself, he beat the game, so simultaneously I guess the curse was broken, for lack of a better term. So I guess that's just how that worked. I was certainly glad that nobody died, because I wanted to do more. Yeah, I guess in the Mother's Rosario arc, it was really all about Asuna and Kiritos just kind of being the supportive fella, which is cool.
What was it like doing these arc series with that?
It was really, really fun, and it was really emotional. That's such a well-written, super emotional arc, and I think just that series is well-written in general. And I had been going through loss in my life. I had lost a family member close to me, so Austin was kind of going through similar things in that arc, so it was very interesting how it worked out that I was working on that while I was dealing with that in my personal life. And I kind of got to go through that with Asuna, and I'm usually a lot braver when I have to do it in a scene, because I'm like, well, it's part of my job. I'm the character, so I'm not doing it by myself. So it's kind of nice to get to like have those characters that will help you be brave, so you can get through some stuff in your personal life, and it's amazing how that works out. So, thank you. Hello. How are you? Good. I started acting when I was 6. Doing film and TV and commercials and stuff like that. My ultimate goal was to be on Barney. I did not really have any intention of being a voice actor, but because I was so young, I had a very, very high-pitched voice, but I could read very well. So I got cast in voiceover commercials, radio commercials. I did a lot of stuff for Children's Medical Center. And I would just get taken out of school for my lunch break and go record some commercials like every day. And then because I had had experience in the booth, they would just say, well, we've got this kid, just bring her in. And then I started doing cartoons and things like that. And when I graduated from high school, I got an audition at Funimation. And I didn't know what it was because all I knew of anime was Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and Sailor Moon. And I thought that was anime, those 3 shows. And so how could I be working in anime when all 3 of those shows were dubbed? And so then I auditioned for Peach Girl, and they kept having more shows for me to work on. And then Peach Girl, my very first show, they said, yeah, this is a popular show. And I said, how is that possible? We're working on it. How is it out? And they said, yeah, we got to send you to a convention. And so I got to go to my first convention, and then kept getting more shows, and then more conventions. And so it just kind of all fell into my lap. But I think if anybody wants to be a voice actor, I would definitely say take any and every class possible that you can for acting, for voice and diction, for dance, because rhythm helps, especially for flaps. Anything that's creative, that you're using your body. I mean, I've talked to some voice actors that people have told them you need to work out more. Because they're like, well, I don't work out, I just do acting. And they're like, well, you have to. Your body is your instrument. And when you're doing voice work, you have to learn breath control. And if you're not conditioned to running or weight training or anything like that, your body is not strong and your muscles aren't strong, and they can't support some of the crazier things that you have to do in voice acting. So any sort of physicality is important. And then, of course, acting, because that's what we're doing, and cold reading skills, which is just getting the script for the first time and being able to pick up the lines and add personality to it, give it a character, because we never see the scripts ahead of time. When we walk in, that's the first time we've seen the script, that's the first time we've sometimes seen the show or the game or anything like that, and we're expected to just like glance at it, read it once, and go. So yeah, I would say just start doing that, get involved in community theater plays. I think now is amazing because you've got YouTube, you can create your own animation, you can create your own games, and you can create your own animes or your own projects to work on, because there are only a few studios that do voice work for anime specifically, and that's in LA, there's a bunch of studios, Dallas, there's Funimation, Houston is Sentai. I think Austin is where Rooster Teeth is. And then in Canada, I think Toronto and Vancouver, and then New York. So unless you're in one of those areas where you guys are close enough with LA, that's really the only place that there's a lot of dubbing. But you can create your own games and create your own projects, and with digital media the way it is and web series, it kind of gives you a lot of freedom to create your own stuff, which is awesome. Thank you. Hello. Hello, hello.
You don't probably remember this. I was the gal who gave you the Lizzie and Austin.
I definitely remember this.
Good. I didn't know Bryce didn't like cereal.
How do I know he didn't like cereal?
No, I didn't know.
I mean, I think he likes it. I just don't think it's like his all-time favorite thing.
Well, it's a simple thing to have for breakfast.
I don't know.
I don't think you've heard this yet. They're making a Black Butler movie, and you have Lizzie has many roles in that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She's mean? Oh, I'm so excited. Do what?
Have you read the manga?
I'm always scared to read the manga because then I get so excited about that arc, and I'm like, man, if I don't get to do this, I'm gonna be crushed. I'm just gonna obsess over it for years. I'll be like 90 saying like, once upon a time I could have played that role.
We only had 2 short girls in common. Can you say the line for your lines in the book of circus? Like,
I don't remember my lines. Because I see him the one time. I see him the one time, and then I record them, and then they are in that memory for a brief time period. If you have them, I can say them, but I have to have them written out for me.
no, I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
say sail fast with last a billion times with Lizzie's voice?
A billion? I don't know if I can say that, but I can say his name in Lizzie's voice. Oh, Seal! If I said it any louder and any high pitched, I was very afraid that I would break this. Because that's usually how that works. It's usually a little
I
higher.
hope you get that for all of the movie.
I would love that.
Next year, it's going to be in Japanese, so and Ian's going to work on it with J. Michael Tatum. I can't say that.
Oh, Brina?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Trump singing. Tell Bryson, Jalen, and Brina love me.
I will. Hello.
What's your favorite anime character that you
Ooh, that's tough. My favorite anime character that I have not worked on. I don't know. I don't really get to watch that much anime that I'm not involved in, because after I watch anime all day, I usually come home and I'm like, I don't want to watch anything. I just want to sleep. So I don't know what would be my favorite anime character that I haven't worked on. Probably a Pokemon. Because I haven't worked on that show, and my husband is an avid Pokemon plush collector to the extent that we have a very small apartment, and we have like over 75 plush Pokemon. So it looks like the house that Pokemon built, and then there are 2 humans that just feed them. So I think it would probably be cool to play any Pokemon. Just because then I could fit in my own house. Yeah, it would be really cool. There's enough characters there. So yeah, I think it would probably be anyone in that show, really. Thank you. Hello.
Do you have a voice actor friend? Do you have a friend that's best friend that's your Do you have a voice actor that's your best friend?
I have a lot of friends that are voice actors.
Who are you really close to?
Well, I hang out with all of them a lot. Especially at conventions, it's very fun. Like Tatum and I were in Hawaii together, so we got to go to a luau, which was really fun. Alexis and I like to go ghost hunting or talk about like psychics or anything paranormal like that. Bryce and his wife and me and my husband usually like to just hang out, and we go to dinner a lot, and I love to hang out with his adorable daughter. Lauren Landa and I hang out. Brina and I, it was crazy. She was going back and forth between Texas and LA, and I was going back and forth between Texas and LA, and we found out we were on the same flight a couple of times, and we didn't know that we were crossing paths. We were seeing each other at the airport. Todd I hang out with a lot because I just see him all the time. So I don't know who my ultimate best friend would be. I feel like if I picked one, they would be like, oh really? So the other ones would say, so our relationship means nothing to you? I don't want to deal with that. I love all of them.
Yeah, and also, what influenced you to become a voice actor?
It was probably one of my agents when I was a kid, and it was the adult voiceover agent. And she was like, I kind of think that you have a really good voice for this. And so I just kind of fell into it. And then as I started getting more into cartoons and animation, it was really just a lot of directors that said, we think that you can do this. And I was always like, no, I can't do that. I can't do a boy voice. I don't know how to do that. This is gonna be weird. They were like, no, just go for it. And they would give me characters that I didn't think I could do or that scared me. And I didn't want to let them down, so I would reluctantly jump in there. So I think it was probably that is what inspired me to be a voice actor, is just a bunch of directors or agents or other actors that believed in me and wanted to push me to grow and be better. So that was very cool. Thank you. Hello. How are you? Doing well.
So my question is, out of all the animes that you've ever read on, what's your favorite set?
Oh, that's so hard. My favorite anime ever. So difficult. probably is just whatever one I'm working on at the time, because I'm just like immersed in that world, and that's where I think I belong in that moment, and then the next day I'm like, no, I totally fit in here. So I don't know, that's a hard one.
Bye.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, so my question is, if you could play any other person on Fairy Tale?
Oh, any other person on Fairy Tale? Oh man, I don't know. I feel like for me and my personality, Lucy was probably the ultimate one that I would have picked. That was actually not one I auditioned for. I did not audition for Lucy because I thought she was really, really cool, and I didn't want to audition and then not get cast, and I didn't think that I would, so I just didn't audition for that character. I really like Levy, and I really like Wendy. I think those are really cool. But it would be really fun to get to have a really deep voice and play one of the dragons. It would never happen because I don't have like a trailer kind of voice, and that's what is required of a dragon. But yeah, that would be cool. Thank you. Hello. My favorite character other than Lucy? Clue. I love Clue. I was gonna say all of my celestial spirits, but like Clue always trumps them. They're all really cool, but yeah, I love Clue. Bye. Oh man, Happy's awesome, but the other guy's so cute. Actually, out of like all of the Exceeds, I think Panther Lily's my favorite. I love Panther Lily's voice, and I have a black cat named Oscar, and so every time I see Panther Lily, I'm always like, but I love you so much. Bye. Bye.
Hi, I'm back.
Hello, you're back again.
Okay, first off, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to Sacramento. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me come to Sacramento. This has been awesome. I will.
Yes. Okay, and then my second thing, I have 2 questions. How did you feel at the end of Sword Art Online 2 with the big reveal at the end, and when you know who dies?
Yes.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
I cried.
I cried a lot. I cried a lot. It was so beautifully well written, and it was really fun to get to do. I felt so much pressure going into it because I saw it in Japanese first. And so I had been saying, I hope we get to do it, I hope we get to do it. And then when we were actually working on it, I was like, oh, there's so much pressure, I don't want to ruin this. And so there were so many tears.
To be honest, this was me at like the very end of the movie. I was like, I was crying like.
It was so intense, and I'm so glad I wasn't crying alone.
And who do you ship with Lucy?
Natsu. Yeah.
I know a bunch of people who ship like Leo with.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen.
You're just like, that's not canon.
It just can't happen. I mean, who does Lucy ship with Lucy? I don't know. But as the voice actor and a fan of the show, I think it's gotta be Natsu.
So, well, my friend asked, I told him I was going, and he was, I told him, what do you want me to ask of Asuna? And he's like, oh, I'm going to a convention, and the voice actor's gonna be there. And he's like, and so he asked, and since he asked sort of online, but I think just generically, what was an anime that like strained your voice from screaming?
Ooh. There's been a couple. I think probably the one that strained it the most. I can't even remember what the show was because I only did like one episode and it was not a very well-known show, so this is really not helpful. But my character in the scene had a lot of, she was going through a transformation and she had a bunch of glass and metal just coming through her body from the inside, and she was basically turning into metal. And so like as I'm watching the animation, I'm like, there's like shards of blood and glass just jetting out of her neck and her arm. And so as you're voicing that, you're like, well, this is painful, it looks painful. So after I did that scene, I was like driving home and I sounded like this, and I was like, oh, voice is gone, voice is totally gone. But yeah, I think more than anything, usually when I audition for a character, I've had directors and other actors say, do the voice, and if the voice hurts while you're doing the 20-second audition, you should probably not send it in, because if you get cast, you're not going to be able to do a 2-hour or a 4-hour session, and you might not be able to finish the show or the game, and you'll have to be recast. So you've got to make sure that it's comfortable enough that you can get through it. But that being said, sometimes your voice just gets tired. I think the only time that I've ever really like strained my voice and I had to take like 6 weeks off was when I was working on like 9 characters at a time, and they were all in different parts of my voice. So one part got lost, and I was like, well, I'll just not do that character. I'll do the other ones in the higher part. And then the higher part got tired, and then I was like, well, I'll just do the lowest part. So I did the lowest part, and then one came back, and I just totally exhausted my voice. So I should have known when it starts getting tired, I just need to give it a break.
Right, so you know how you were talking about like you couldn't do the dragons because you wanted to do the dragons in Fairy Tale?
Yeah.
Your voice wasn't able to get deep enough?
Yeah. Awesome. That's very cool. Thank you. Hello. Yeah. It's a little bit of both. I mean, I guess when Sailor Moon aired on television in the 90s, they didn't air all of the show. I guess they felt some of the episodes maybe weren't appropriate for TV at the time, or they felt like parts of the show were, some scenes weren't as important and it was easier to cut. And sometimes they do that for movies, when they air movies on television now. I know, because I know every frame of Miss Congeniality, and I'll be watching it on television saying, that scene is missing. But sometimes they feel like if they don't have enough time, because they've got to fit commercial breaks in there and they only have a 2-hour slot, they've got to cut some scenes. So when we got to work on the uncut version of Sailor Moon, we got to have everything back in. Every scene was in, all of the unaired episodes we got to work on, and then with some of the Outer Guardians, some of the relationships got changed. And so when we got to work on it, they had talked to the Japanese creative team, and they had said, you guys can do it, but you've got to do it exactly as it was written and intended to be told. So that's what the Viz redub is. No, I mean, I guess for some of us that had watched the show as a kid, we would just, which it was so long ago, there's some moments where I'm like, I don't remember this, but it was just that I didn't remember watching it as a kid, or as an adult it means more to me, or I understand it. But then there will be moments where we'll go, I legitimately did not remember this villain. I don't think I've ever seen this. And we'd ask the director, and she's like, yeah, this is one of the episodes they didn't air. So they didn't tell us what was different and what wasn't. It was just if we'd seen the show, we would know. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. 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 Yep, totally. Thank you. Hello.
Okay, so 2 quick questions.
Okay.
First one, is it true that Bryce had trouble with voice of Kirito, where
Yeah, I've actually done panels with him, and people will ask him to do the huge, like, starburst, like, I call it the starburst candy scream. No, that's not what it is. I'm like, Bryce, do the candy scream. He's like, Cherami, stop it. And I'll say, if I say it in a panel, everyone's like, yeah, do that scream. And he was like, thank you, Cherami. So I've had people, I'm like, just bring him a starburst and ask him to do the scream. He'll understand. But yeah, it's just so intense. How the intensity that we have to put into that moment. There will be some times that the director will say, like, we're only going to do this 2 or 3 times, so let's watch it and rehearse it so that we don't have to blow your voice out. But yeah, I don't think he can do that too many times in a row, just because it's so intense, and he throws everything into that. I know Todd has also had some intense screams as Natsu, and there was a take where he did one of the screams, and they were like, whoa, dude, that sounded like it shredded your voice. He was like, yep, I think I'm tasting blood. I think that's what's happening right now. Because when we're doing a character, we're like, all I want to do is give my all to this. And that's why you have to take classes beforehand, so you kind of know, all right, this is where my range is, this is where I can comfortably go, and it's good to stretch it, and it's good to experiment, but you need to know breath control and breath support. Otherwise, you can seriously hurt yourself. Because when you're in the moment, you're like, I'll do anything. I'm just in the moment, I'm living this character, and we'll see what happens. And since Bryce and Todd are trained, they know I'm hitting my limit, I'm gonna have no voice, and it's my job to be able to keep working. But yeah, so I know he had some hard times with some of the bigger screams. Because they're so intense. I don't think they think about that when they're animating it. I don't think they're like, there's a human that's gonna have to provide this voice. And this is a very long time to hold a scream. No, whatever. Like, they're like, it looks epic.
And my other question was, would there ever be a situation where maybe a fan of yours was to go through and maybe they made anime and then they went through and they actually went through Funimation and got different voice actors? Would you be willing to like do that thing like the story?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there was a guy that I believe was a fan, and he was making a video game, and I think he's still in the process of making the video game. But he animated the video game, wrote all these characters, and went through proper channels of getting a production studio, and contacted all of our agents, because they handle everything to make sure we don't get in trouble, or we don't. Sometimes they book us for stuff, and if we're booking stuff on the side, things can conflict. So it always goes through them, and he went through our agents, and we actually got to work on the project, and he was a fan first. And it was really cool once he said, like, you know, I had seen you guys working on these, and I wrote these characters based off your voices and personality similarities. So that was really cool. And yeah, it was really fun to work on that. I just love to tell stories, and I love to get to play characters. So if somebody did that and they wanted me to work on it, sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Good, how are you?
Pretty good. I have a quick little question.
Okay. Aha.
Okay. Since then, I've been up season 2 of Sword Art Online, you know, and how the character, you know, is gone, and now Kirito and Ansa living their normal life as, you know, as human beings now, since, you know, they're fighting for survival. Since the story doesn't end there, will you return to season 3 if they do make it English dub back?
Yeah, if they make an English dub and they say, hey, we'd like to keep the same cast and we'd like you to come back, I'll totally do it. I love that show and I love that character, so.
Okay, will you also be the voice also in the movie they're also making?
I hope so. Most of the time we don't get a say in whether or not do we get to do it unless they offer it. And if they offer it, for sure. But sometimes that's out of their control, and it's certainly out of our control. But yeah, I hope so.
Oh, okay, well, that's all the questions.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for coming, for one.
Thank you.
My question is, how was it like working with Shane Dawson on Cool?
It was awesome. It was crazy because that project, I I just auditioned and then found out that there was going to be a docuseries documenting the whole journey of making the movie for the chair. And so then once I got cast, I like showed up, got off the plane, and they put a mic pack on me, and there's like 5 cameras as me getting off the plane. I'm like, guys, I've been flying for like 6 hours, and I fell asleep on the plane. I did not know I was gonna need to be camera ready because there's so many cameras here. This is so weird. And so Shane was like, yeah, this is what it feels like to be a Kardashian. I was like, I don't want to. I didn't want to, and I certainly don't want to now. But we found out that we have the exact same birthday, and we have the same middle name, and like all these similarities. He's really, really talented. He's a really laid-back, cool, chill guy. And I was super nervous because I'd seen some of his videos. I'm like, he's crazy. And he's really not. Like, there's the Shane, and then there's the Shane Dawson, like, personality. And of course there are similarities, but it was pretty intense. I think the craziest part was like going to Target or going to a mall or wherever we were shooting a scene, and having people like rush him or like stare at him and start taking pictures throughout the meal. Or there was one girl crying following us through the mall. I was like, what is happening? And then once I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, this happens to him all the time. Just like 10-year-old girls like following behind him, just crying. And I'm like, oh, please talk to her. And when he started talking, she started crying more. And he was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, you can't win, man. You can't win. It's so stressful. But yeah, no, it was a blast. We sang a lot. There was a lot of singing, unnecessary singing. And it was in Pittsburgh, and it was cold. So singing and freezing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello.
So I have a 2-parter question.
Okay.
First, how do you deal with people who like generalize anime and like put it in a box with really close minds?
I feel like that's just kind of how some people are, and there's not really anything that you can do about it. I mean, some people will say like, I don't like dubbed versions. I only watch sub. And some people are like, I can't stand sub. I only like dub. It's fine, you know, whatever. Everybody has their own opinions, and if somebody, like, obviously it sucks when somebody's like, I don't like your work and I don't like what you do. But the fact of the matter is there are other people that do, and I'm so happy that there are other people that do, because then I have a job. But at the same time, I'm not going to, it's not my job, nor is it fair for me to shut down someone else's opinion. My thing is, I want people to be able to grow and feel something from a story, be that a movie, a book. I mean, it's the same thing of people saying like, I hate Harry Potter movies, I only like the books, or vice versa. And my whole thing is, they're all stories, and I just want people to enjoy storytelling and become more compassionate and become more open-minded in whatever frame of mind and in whatever process that is for them. And I think if somebody's being judgmental or not willing to see someone else's side to a story, usually I feel the way the world works, something will happen in their life where they will be on the other side of that coin and see, oh, this is what it's like over here. Now I understand. And then they start to see the world differently. But it's not up to any one person to bring somebody to that time in their life before they're ready. Because we all have our own lessons, we all have our own journey, and we experience things when we're meant to. So I am super excited to get to come to conventions and meet people who love anime and love what I do. But at the same time, it's always nice to hear somebody else's opinion that might have a different perspective, because then I get to learn and open my mind even further. So yeah, does that answer your question? Okay.
And second question, on a more happy, lighthearted side, can you do your best Pikachu impression?
Oh my gosh. Sure.
You only have to say one word.
Yeah, right? Thank you.
Who's your favorite character? How you like to voice
Man, I don't know. All these favorite questions are so hard. I'm always afraid to pick one because I'm afraid if I pick one character, that one is going to be like, see, she likes me better. And all the other ones are like, oh yeah, well, we'll take you down. And a lot of them are really good with swords. And so I feel like I'm inevitably setting one up to die. And if she's my favorite that day, then, or he is my favorite that day, then he or she won't be alive much longer if I pit them against the others. So I love them all. Lizzie? Sure.
Sally, you look so adorable and pink. I hope you wear it all the time.
Thank you. Hello.
Yes, it was really fun when you did the Lizzie voice with the accent.
Yes.
And I was wondering, I'm guessing you get asked this, but and you might not remember how to do it, but could you do can you do a Patty impression, an Asuna impression, and a Lucy impression?
Sure. Patty? Yes, who's gotta be?
Giraffe, giraffe, I'm gonna break your neck.
Okay, and Asuna?
Even if a monster beats me and I die, I won't lose to this world.
Do you have a favorite celestial spirit?
I don't know, but
Okay.
Open, gate of the water bearer, Aquarius!
I actually got to do I got to hang out with the voice of Aquarius the other day. I was very nervous. And I told her, I was like, I don't know why I'm so nervous being around you. And she's like, probably because I verbally assault you anytime my voice sees your voice. And I was like, it's a very good point. I think that's it, Jessica. I think you're right. She's really lovely. Hello. Well, I don't think I would pick Sword Art Online because I'm not that good in games, me as Cherami, and I would die. I think a fairy tale would be really fun. I think I'd like to be a celestial wizard. I like to collect stuff, so keys would be cool. I don't know, a lot of my characters are really intense and super powerful and super serious and are in really severe situations. I'm usually a little bit better with humor than like a sword. I cut my finger the first time I was with a sword and it was terrifying. Although I do like the Sailor Moon universe would be cool. You just gotta be aware of anything that's new, don't go there. Anything that's new to the town, don't try it. New ice cream place, not worth it. Go to the place that's been there a while. So yeah, I think that would be probably, no, ghost hunt would be cool. I would try to be brave enough to go hang out with ghosts because that was what I would really like to do. I think it would probably be one of those three. Or Steins Gate, time travel. Time travel, magic, and ghosts. My favorite things. So yeah. Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question.
All right. Hello.
Sorry.
There's been so many that at the time I was like, oh man, I loved that role so much. But once I see the project, I'm like, I didn't fit in this world with the cast that they had. And while I would have loved to do it, it just wouldn't have made sense. I would have not fit in the way that they did the project. I mean, I've auditioned for some really cool things. And I just trust that the universe is working for a greater good of everyone and it's for the best benefit of the story. And ultimately, even though I would have loved to work on all million projects that I didn't get to, I want them to have the best, I want them to be able to be told the best and enjoyed by the most people, and sometimes I just don't fit. So yeah, but yeah, in the moment, it's terrifying and it's horrible, and I cry for weeks and weeks and weeks, and say I could have been in this, and this would have been awesome. But you know, when I see it come out, I'm like, oh, okay, she was a better choice. So yeah, thank you. Hello. Nice, very good. Very, very cool. I just auditioned. I sent in an audition via my iPhone, and they said, can you do a callback and not record into a potato? And so I auditioned, I did a callback. I was actually out of town because I was getting married, and I found out I got cast on the way to my wedding. So it was a fun little anime wedding present. Sure. Venus Power Makeup! Thank you.
I'm afraid that is all we have
All right.
time for, but thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
here. Everybody give it up for Cherami.
I'm gonna go sign at the table, and so if you guys want me to sign anything or take pictures, I will be there until they take me away.
It's all up to you.
Sweet.
All right, cool. Thank you, everybody.